In today's Warzone video, I have the top 5 meta console guns you guys should be using. These are going to be the loadouts and guns that are best suited for console players here in Warzone. If you haven't enjoyed today's video, give it a like, subscribe so notifications turned on, and let's hop into this. Okay, so the first gun we are getting into here today is going to be the H4 Blixen. This is a gun that I see a lot of console players really enjoying using because it's very effective. It doesn't have all that much visual recoil to it, so let's give you guys a good build here for it that's going to be very console specific. So first thing, muzzle category, we're going to go throw on the recoil booster for that increase in fire rate. Now in the barrel section, we're not going to go for the Johnson barrel. We're going to go down here for the Bergstrom barrel. That's going to help kind of neutralize out all that different recoil. If you're really okay with having a little bit of extra recoil, the Johnson 9 RMK is going to be definitely, a really good option as well. But the Bergstrom is going to be real solid for anybody that has a little bit of issues with that recoil control. Now in the underbarrel section, what we're going to do is we're going to go throw on the SG98 compact here to help us kind of mobilize out this gun here a little bit more so. In the magazine, we're also going to go throw on the 7.62 Gorenko 54 round mag. This is a really solid one here. Recoil control and accuracy, increased torso damage, and of course, an increased magazine ammo capacity. When you compare this to the Gorenko 36, the damage per mag is quite a bit higher on the Gorenko 54. Of course, having 54 rounds instead of 36 is definitely a huge benefit. So I prefer, no matter what, to use the Gorenko 54. Ammunition side of things, though, we're gonna go through on subsonic here for no mini-map ping. This is a really clutch ammunition type here for these SMGs because you're pretty much running a recoil booster on all of your different Vanguard SMGs. This kind of keeps you off the radar. Of course, it's not going to silence your gun, but it keeps you off the radar, which can be pretty useful. Now in the rear grip section, we're going to go through on the grooved grip here. This is going to be for aim walking movement speed, horizontal recoil control, ADS fire move speed, and of course aiming stability. You're going to lose a little bit of sprint to fire and ADS speed, but that's entirely okay because we're going to be strafing around like a madman. It's going to be a little bit nuts. Now in the optics section here, we're going to go through on the slate reflector. This is going to just make it super easy to be able to see what you're aiming at. I always run the slate reflector on my guns. Now in the stock section, we have the two options in here pretty much of the remove stock or the Bergstrom MB. It's kind of up to you guys here, but the Bergstrom MB is going to probably lessen the amount of recoil control penalties you're going to see, but the remove stocks can give you a little bit more mobility at the expense, of course, of some of these different sort of attributes. So it's up to you guys, but usually speaking, the Bergstrom MB is a pretty safe bet. Now, perk 1, we're going to go for fleet for that overall increase in weapon swap quickness and movement speed. It's kind of like having amped the perk on like one side of your loadout pretty much by having the ability to switch from this gun really fast. It's pretty neat, and I like that quite a bit. And then in perk 2, we're just going to go for quick for the overall increase in sprint speed. This is my full build here for the H4 Blixen. Real fun gun to be able to use here on console. Definitely be using this gun. All right, next up, I'm going to give you guys an AR that has virtually no recoil. And this is going to be really easy to be able to use here on console. And that's the Grau 5.56. This is indeed the gumball variant, by the way, and it's pretty good. It's just a really nice little like pink variant. But anyways, first thing, muzzle category, we're going to go throw on the mono suppressor here for sound suppression and of course damage range. This is definitely a way to go on this gun and pretty much any and all modern warfare weapons to run the mono instead of the lightweight or the tactical. No reason to run anything else, just always throw on the mono. Barrel section, we're gonna go through on the Tempest 26.4 Archangel barrel. This is gonna neutralize out as much recoil as possible on this thing. And it's also gonna give you some incredibly beautiful iron sights on this gun, which are really nice. And so I'd highly recommend for you guys to run the Tempest 26.4 as opposed to something like the Nexus barrel, which says in theory does the same stuff, but the Tempest does so much more. And of course the iron sights are that much better. So always run the Tempest 26.4. Underbarrel section, we're going to go for the Commando foregrip here, recoil control, aiming stability. This is a pretty simple one here to be able to run. We love the Commando foregrip. It is a great foregrip, and you do not need anything else here. It does not matter if you're on console, if you're on PC, like it really does not matter. The Commando foregrip is the way to go. A magazine section, we have a couple options in here, the 50 or the 60 round mag. I always go for the 60 round mag. Apart from being a 60 round mag kind of guy, this is just kind of like what I do, but I mean, the 60 round mag is just great to have on your ARs just because you're going to be dispensing a lot of rounds down range. And of course, when you're coming against, 2, 3, 4 people at a time, having, extra 10 rounds in your magazine can be the difference between, going down and maybe going to the gulag or being able to have to respawn on Rebirth Island and then maybe your loadout's chalked or something like that. I mean, it's just a good idea to have extra rounds in your magazine. And for our final thing here, we're gonna go to the laser section. We're gonna take advantage of these beautiful iron sights here, throw on the tac laser. This is a really solid option to be able to use here. ADS speed, aiming stability, aim walking steadiness. If you guys don't happen to want to do this, you could go for something like in the optics section, throw on the Corp Combat Hollow sight, which I don't necessarily recommend because at that point you should probably just be using the tac laser. I'd probably suggest going for like a VLK 3 times and throwing on like the T-post reticle, and that'll be really solid. You guys will be able to beam people at range. Like it's gonna be super easy to be able to control at range. But otherwise, the laser, I just go for this. This is my preferred build here, and this is what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoy this build. super solid and definitely recommend it. All right, next up, I'm gonna give you guys builds here for the Vanguard PPSH. This is gonna be the ADS build, not necessarily the hipfire build. The hipfire build is gonna have a real good amount of recoil, and that's a lot more unmanageable on console in comparison to playing, let's say, on 120 FOV. That makes it just visually a little bit easier to control. It's not like I have less recoil when I play on PC, but you guys get what I'm saying. So first thing, we're gonna go in here, throw in the muzzle. We're gonna go for the recoil booster for that increase in fire rate. Now the barrel section, we're gonna go down here, throw in the Zach 300mm barrel here, the increase in bullet velocity range, and of course recoil control. This is gonna be a really solid barrel, and it's gonna help out quite a bit when you're ADSing. Now in the barrel section, to kind of speed this build up here a little bit, we're gonna go for the Mark V Ice Skeletal here. It's only gonna decrease your hipfire accuracy, but it's gonna help with your ADS speed and your movement speed, which is pretty crucial for when you're like running around with an SMG in close quarters to be able to actually move around a little bit faster. Now in the magazine section, you either have the option of the Nambu 71 round mag, or in this case, what we're going to be going for is the Garanko 71 round mag, because this can help us with our magazine ammo capacity. It's also not going to like drastically increase, our fire rate and everything like that. And I'd 100% say that, when you're trying to run this gun like this is going to be the way to go when you're trying to be more of a long range build. Is not increasing the fire rate astronomically, because that'd be for like a hipfire build. This is going to be more of the ADS build, and what's going to be more effective for that. Ammunition, you guys can either throw on subsonic or you can throw on lengthened. Depends if you want to run this as like sniper support. If you're just trying to run this as secondary, for sniper support, I'd recommend lengthened, but if you're just running this as a regular secondary, probably subsonic is going to be a pretty good option. Now in the rear grip section here, we're gonna go down and we're gonna throw on, where is it at, the fabric grip right there. ADS speed, sprint to fire speed, and hip fire accuracy. You're gonna lose a little bit of horizontal recoil control, but we got to speed this build up here a little bit to be able to compete with everything that's going on at close range. So fabric is a great option. Optic section, we're gonna go throw on the slate reflector here. Just gotta be able to see what we're shooting at, so the slate is always a really good thing to be able to have. Stock, we're gonna go throw on the Kolvaskaya skeletal here for a sprint to fire speed and movement speed. Definitely don't want to go for like a remove stock or the folding stock. The skeletal here is just always great. Pretty much no matter like which build you're making, it's always a really good option. Now in perk 1, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go throw on tight grip here for accuracy and recoil during sustained fire. It's gonna help you stay on target a little bit more. And then perk 2, we're gonna go throw on quick for the overall increase in sprint speed. So this is my full builds here for the PPSH. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Really easy build to use on console, 100%. Check this out. All right, next up, I'm gonna give you guys build here for the Kilo 141. This is a gun that I'm pretty sure like 99.100% of people actually have in Warzone. That's just because, it's a Modern Warfare gun. It's also got virtually no recoil when you have the right build on it. So let's give you guys a solid build here for this thing. Muzzle, we're gonna go throw on the mono suppressor here like always. Barrel section, we're gonna go throw on the Vanguard Arms 19.8 Prowler barrel. You always 100% of the time have to run the Prowler barrel. Don't ever go for the Vanguard 16.6 SOCOM. You're gonna start losing gunfights at that medium-ish long range, and that's not what we're going for. So the Vanguard Arms Prowler is gonna be the way to go. Pretty much every single real good player is gonna be running the Prowler barrel, so you don't want to put yourself at a disadvantage by trying to, get a little bit extra ADS or something there with the 16.6 SOCOM. Trust me, it's not that big. Don't look that deep into it. You have to just go for the Prowler barrel. That's gonna give the maximum damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. Now, in the underbarrel section, we're gonna go for the Commando foregrip here. So if you guys feel like this bounces around a little bit too much, you can go for something like the Ranger foregrip, and that'll pretty much stabilize this gun out entirely. But otherwise, I just think the Commando is the way to go. Magazine section, we're gonna go for the 60 round mag in here. I always said I like to go for the maximum, ammo in the gun, but pretty much you don't want to ever go for the 100 round drum here, because this is gonna be way too much. It's gonna slow you down astronomically, and we don't want that. So 60 or 50. Up to you guys, but my preference is a 60. Now to finish off this gun here, I go for an optic. I don't ever treat this like a growl and go for like a laser or something. So we have options in here pretty much at the Corp Combat Hollow sight, which is really fun to be able to use this gun at like that medium-ish range. It's super easy to manage, and I think it's good time to do. Also, then we have the option down here for the VOK 3x optic, which is your longer range optic. And then we can go down a little bit farther here for the PBX Hollow 7 sight, which is the same thing as the Corp Combat Hollow, but of course looks a little bit different. So 3 different options in here for the optics section, but pretty much my preference is the Corp Combat Hollow, as I prefer to use the Kilo and more of a medium-ish range, not as much a long range. So this is my full build here. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Definitely try it out. I mean, it's the Kilo. Can't go wrong with that. And for our final gun here in this top 5, a gun that I think a lot of people love using, much like the Kilo 141, is going to be the MP7. I get a lot of comments of people saying, hey, Chuck, the MP7 hits. So let's give you guys a setup here for the MP7. First thing, muzzle. Got to go throw on that mono suppressor, sound suppression, and of course, damage, range, barrel section, we're gonna go through on the FSS Recon here. This is gonna be the largest barrel out there, but it's also gonna make the MP7 as effective as it can be at, you know, being an SMG. So I definitely recommend for you guys to go through on this thing. In the spirit of keeping some recoil control going, you guys can either throw on the Commando foregrip or the Merc foregrip. It's a little bit up to you and what you want to be able to do, but I know console doesn't have as easy of a time controlling some recoil, and this gun will bounce around if we go for like a straight, you know, mobility build. So I want to say either the Commando or the Merc is going to be up to your preference, but for me, I go for the Commando just because it's going to slow me down the least, of course, over the Merc. But you'll get better hipfire accuracy and everything like that, and recoil control with the Merc. So I guess it's kind of up to you guys. Now, magazine, we're going to go for the 60-round mag here. I mean, the MP7, it's not like it has a crazy fast, you know, TTK or has like a large amount of damage per magazine, but that's why we have to go for like the 60 as opposed to like the 50. If we're going for like a course, like I said, it's like super mobility build, probably the 50 would be better just because you like lose out on, you know, less. But the 60 for overall purposes here is going to be better. And then to finish off this build here, we're going to go for the stock section. And what we're going to do is we're going to throw in the no stock attachment. This is going to speed this up as much as possible without really chalking our, you know, overall controllability of this gun. You guys could probably throw in like a laser or something like that, maybe like a 5MW if you really felt like it. You know, go through on this, and that'll be pretty solid if you don't feel like the no stock is working for you. But otherwise, I go for the no stock here pretty much 9 times out of 10. This is like my full build here for it. So this is what I got on the MP7. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys happen to enjoy it, give it a like, subscribe with notifications turned on, and I'll see you all later. Just remember to recap, don't be Randy, and I'm out. Peace.